So now we valid. Now we can start. What's going on with y'all though? How y'all doing?
Doing good, G. Going good.
How you been, Carlos? Haven't seen you in a minute. How you been, bro? So now we valid. All right, let me just mute this. All right, sanction. All right, so I'm gonna set my screen and get started. So today we're gonna learn about stop losses, where to place them, why we place them, where we place them. All right. All right, so y'all should be able to see my screen. Valid, valid. Okay, so we're not gonna learn how to get into a trade in this training, but we're gonna learn where to place our stop loss once we do enter in a trade. All right. So as we know, we should only be entering off of retests. Right. So once you get your entry, so we're gonna go over a couple examples, and then I'm gonna have you guys point out to me where I'm gonna place my stop loss as well, just so I make sure you guys are getting it. All right. So you want to find your stop loss on a lower time frame. Okay, so that's first things first. You want to find your stop loss on a lower time frame. So anywhere from the 15 or down. Okay, 15 and down is ideal because the pips are going to be a lot smaller. Okay, let me delete these alerts so I don't confuse nobody. Okay, now we valid. All right, so I'm gonna use the replay. We just find a spot. I'm just gonna go all the way back. Okay, I'm on a 15-minute time frame right now. I'm gonna go all the way back and find a good example. All right, this will work. Okay, so ideally you want to get your stop loss from the 15 minutes or below. 15-minute or below. Okay, so you want to get your stop loss from the 15 or below. Oops, I don't know why I put this off. Okay, so we're gonna keep that in mind. So the smaller the time frame, the smaller the pips are gonna be. So the smaller your stop loss is gonna be, the better for you. Okay, we don't want to take big losses. So now what we want to do, we want to compound our account. So we want to keep our stop losses nice and tight. Okay. So again, in this training, you will not be learning when to enter a trade or how to enter a trade, simply just about stop losses. Okay. So I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit. Okay, right here, we're looking at the start of an uptrend. We're making higher highs and higher lows. Okay, I'm gonna label them. we still wouldn't enter yet. Okay. Okay, we have our first higher high. Okay, and our higher low. Oops, my fault. Higher low. Okay, so on an uptrend, when you're making sequences of higher highs and higher lows, I'm gonna write this down as well. On a uptrend, stop loss is placed at slightly below the higher low. Okay, so stop loss is placed slightly below the higher low. Okay, I'm gonna make this bigger so y'all can see. Make sure y'all write this down in your notes. Okay, so on an uptrend, stop loss is placed slightly below the higher low. Okay. So that means if we were to enter this trade, right, we would be waiting for the retest of our higher high, right? Because we're not entering unless it's off a retest, right? Because a retest is an extra confirmation. Okay, boom, right? So we entered right here, right? We put a little rectangle around it. Okay, we entered right here in this candle right here, right? And your stop loss, right? Raul, tell me where we placed in our stop loss. On your screen, if you press the 3 dotted lines on your screen and click annotate, you are able to write on my screen. Okay, so draw a line to me where you're gonna put your stop loss. Right. On an uptrend,
wait a minute, say that again. You said go to the what?
So there should be 3 dotted lines. I mean, the 3 dots on your screen, right in the bottom right. Click that and click annotate.
I don't have that option there. I don't say it.
Hold on, let me see if I got it enabled or something.
But I do have an idea of where the stop loss could be, though.
Okay, so annotate on share. Yeah, it says can. We'll figure that out a little later. But tell me where I'm gonna mark numbers. All right, I'm gonna put numbers on the screen, and you tell me what number my stop loss should be at. Okay, this is gonna be 1. Up here is gonna be 2. It's gonna be 3. And it's gonna be 4. All right. So what number, right? If we entered right up here, what number is my stop loss being placed at?
I would say 2, just because of the fact that once it touched that one point of its time, that it just continued going down, and then I see that it went right through and it still came back down, so it's not gonna pass that area.
Okay, so I'll tell you why you're wrong. Okay, so 2 is the higher high, right? We know that on an uptrend, stop loss is placed slightly below the higher low. Okay, slightly below the higher low. The higher low, our previous higher low is number 1. Okay, because this trade can very well, because it doesn't have to retest this, right? It doesn't have to respect this higher high level right here, right? It doesn't have to respect this line. This could have came, right? This could have came down here and retested the higher low and then continued going up, right? And you'll see some examples of it later on of why we place it slightly below the higher low. Okay, but it's number 1. Okay. So we'll keep going.
Thank you.
We'll do more examples. Okay. So, right. Stop loss placed slightly below the higher low, which is number 1. Okay, and take off. Okay, so I'm gonna go find another example. Let me just speed this up. Right, so we're gonna do another example of uptrend. All right, so we're waiting for the retest this area now, right? This higher high. Okay, you get your retest right here. This is where we would have entered. Let me mark a box on the entry. Okay. Now I'm gonna delete all this, right? Delete the rest of these. Okay, so we was waiting for the retest of this line. We got that right here. This was our entry. Right. Now I'm gonna mark up the highs and the higher lows and higher highs. Okay, now Raul, tell me. Right, we entered here. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, right? So you can't see. Right. So we entered right here, right? Where we know that we're placing our stop loss at the higher low, right? So in this case, I'm gonna put numbers again, and you let me know where I'm placing my stop loss. Okay. Number 1 is up here. Okay, number 1 is up here. Number 2 is gonna be right here. Right, number 2 is gonna be your red line, right? Number 3 is gonna be at the previous higher low, right here. Okay, so from what we know, where are we placing our stop loss now? Right, if we enter here, right, enter the trade right here at number 2, and this is where the trade is currently. What number are we entering? What number are we placing our stop loss at?
I kind of have two answers. I know that's not the right, obviously, but I just kind of feel a little bit more on one side than the other. And I'm gonna give it to, let me zoom out a little bit. I'm gonna give it down over here to number 3 because it looks like that it's gonna be going down in a downtrend and then bounce right back up.
Okay, yes, sir. Number 3 is correct. Okay, number 3
at
is
first I was gonna say 2, but
okay, so you are right for saying 3. Okay, so we know on an uptrend, right? Always remember this: on an uptrend, stop loss is always being placed at the previous higher low. Okay, uptrend. Stop loss is placed the previous higher low. Okay, so if we were buying this, we know we're placing our stop loss at the previous higher low. So if you have to go back and label each higher high and higher low, do so. That's fine. Okay, so the reason why number 1 wouldn't be a higher low is because a new higher high was never formed. Okay, and our previous higher high was never retested. Okay, we know that the trade is going to break and retest, right? And our higher high right here never got retested. Okay, so I made a little counter trend back to the retest, and now let's see where it went. Right, we're in the trade, stop loss placed at right number 3 at our previous higher low. Right, and now we're just to continue this uptrend, we're waiting for a higher high to be formed. Okay, let's see. Speed this up a little bit. All right, see, this is why we place our stop loss at the higher low. Okay. As you see, our previous higher high, right, came back to retest a second time, right? And as you see, it came down a little further than the higher high. Okay. In this point, if you would have placed your stop loss at 2 or anywhere other than the higher low, you would have got stopped out right here. You would have took that unnecessary loss. Okay. So always place it according to the market structure. Okay. We placed stop loss on an uptrend, right? When we're buying, we're placing our stop loss at the previous higher low, okay, which was number 3. Right? Saved us from losing this trade, right? Saved us from losing this trade. Okay, as you see now, a higher high is created. Okay, so now we're waiting for the retest. Okay, because it broke our higher high, right? This little resistance. And now we're looking for the retest. Okay, and we're going to enter in on the retest. Right? So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do one more example of the uptrend, and then we're going to switch it to the downtrend. All right. So now we're waiting for a retest. So we know we're entering in on the retest. Let me speed this up a little bit. Go a little quicker. All right, we see that we never got the retest. We most likely would have never entered in this trade anyways. Okay, so now we're waiting for, well, it already took off. But we was waiting for the retest of this higher high. All right. We got it right up here. Okay, we got that retest right up here. So this is where we would enter. Okay. And the stop loss is placed at the previous higher low. Okay, so we'll go back and mark up. Right. We have our higher high right here. Let me make this a little bigger so it's more visible to the eye. Okay, we have our higher high right here. Got our higher low right here. Right, we got our new higher high. Okay, so if we was to enter this trade, right, where are we placing our stop loss?
All right, so the stop loss, I believe it's going to be right where the higher low is over here in the bottom, where that like around that area, around like 139. Yeah, around there.
Yep. Perfect. All right, so you're starting to get it. You're starting to get it for the uptrend. All right, perfect. So stop loss will be placed right here, slightly below the higher low. Oops. Let me fix that. All right, perfect. All right, so back. You're getting the hang of it. All right, so now we're gonna go over examples on the downtrend. All right, it's pretty much the same thing, just flipped. All right, it's pretty much the same thing, just flipped.
So pretty much lower high.
Say that again, you cut out.
I'm not mean to interrupt you or anything to the video, but I was just saying that so the opposite would pretty much would be lower high.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we're gonna go over that right now. Okay, okay. Okay, so on a downtrend, I'm gonna write this out first. Okay, on a downtrend, slightly above the lower high. Okay, so make sure you guys got that written down. On a downtrend, stop loss is placed slightly above the high or low. Okay, so from right, if we enter the trade, oops, dropped it a little too quick. Right, but if we enter the trade off the retest, right, our entries right here. Okay, so our entries right there. I'm gonna put a couple numbers. Put a couple numbers on the screen. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, so tell me, if on a downtrend the stop loss is placed slightly above the high or low, where we play out of 1 and 2, where are we placing our stop loss?
It would be number 2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so the reason why we want to do this on a smaller time frame is so that the pip count is a lot smaller, because no one's trying to lose 55 pips. I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to lose 55 pips. It's too much for me,
Fact.
right? Like, that's a fact. No, I'm not trying to lose 25 pips, right? So if it's right in this case, that's way too big. I'm not trying to lose 55 pips. You're not trying to lose 55 pips. So lower the time frame until you get a smaller stop loss. Okay, so the smaller the stop loss, the better. Okay, because the smaller the loss is going to be. Okay, so as you can see on a 5-minute time frame, because we run a 15, right? On the 5, it shows us a clearer picture. Okay, there's a reason why I only put 2 numbers. Okay, so now tell me. Okay, now tell me what number you would place your stop loss at. Right now we see a little clearer picture on the 5-minute. Tell me where we put the stop loss.
I would do 3.
Yes, sir. Okay, number 3, the previous high and low. I mean, the previous lower high. My fault. The previous lower high. Okay, so now let's watch it play out and see what happens. Let's go back to the 15. Okay, so we placed it at 3. Now let's see what happens. Okay, let's press play. Right, came back up. And let's see. Okay. Boom. Now it drops. Okay, so now I'm gonna do one more example of the downtrend. And that's gonna be pretty much it for today. Okay, up here. Just gonna go ahead and find a different example. Let me try to find a downtrend on the 4-hour. It's gonna be a little easier. Just bear with me. Just gonna find a little example. All right, perfect. go back to that spot. Just, there we go. Okay, we have it down right here, and we know, right? We know for the downtrend, we know stop losses are placed slightly above the lower high. Okay, so let's get into it. So start off by labeling. Let me bring the replay all the way back. About a couple days ago, Raul, right? That the market is not bearish until the previous higher low is broken and retested, right? This right here was our previous higher low. I'm gonna put a little line. Okay, as you see, it was broken, retested, right? Broken and retested. Now we're starting a downtrend. Okay, now we're making sequences of lower lows and lower highs. Low lows, lower highs. Okay. Right, as you see that lower high, right, this uptrend was broken because the lower high was broken and retested. So boom, let me pause that. Whoops. Okay, so this was our lower low right here. Let me clone this real quick. Okay, this is our lower low. So we're waiting on the, right, we got the break. Now we're just waiting on the retest so we can enter, right? Right, we got a retest. We would have entered, right? If we, because there's no telling, right? So if we entered at the retest of the lower high, the lower low, my fault, right? We entered down here for a sell. Remember this, we're all going examples of for a sell right now. Okay, we're going examples for a sell right now. So right, if we entered in at the retest of the lower low, right? Stop loss. You can even go down in the time frames. I like to go, the lowest I'll go is 5 minutes, but you can keep going down as much as you need. Right. As you see, right, lower low was broken. Right, the retest of the lower low failed. Right, as you see, it continues going up. So now we know if in order for this trend to be broken, this little downtrend to be broken, that the higher low must be broken and retested. Okay, so in order for this to be an uptrend, we need this action to happen. Okay, we need the higher low to be broken and retested. So if we enter the trade right down here at the retest of the lower low, right, our stop loss again is being previous. Okay. Okay, now let's see how it played out. Okay, stop loss is being placed slightly above the higher low. And boom. Okay, now it's ticking off. Okay, continuing this downtrend. Okay, so does that make sense, Raul?
Made perfect sense, bro. I actually learned a lot.
Perfect, perfect. All right, so that's really gonna conclude today's live. Just going over stop loss. Okay, nothing too complicated. So I stream every day, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, roughly at 10:30. Okay, it's gonna be some quick lessons. Shouldn't be more than an hour. We'll talk about whatever we want to talk about live, and we'll go over a bunch of things. If you guys on YouTube, you guys ever have a question, you guys can just comment on the comment section. I'm always looking. I'm always reading. Okay, so if I don't get to your comment, you can just comment again, and I'll see it eventually. All right, so I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow on Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Deuces, stay humble, be blessed.
Peace, Brody.
All right, bro.